And welcome back to my channel. Today I have an exciting topic for you guys. I know I've been promising this one pretty much since I started my channel, and I've been putting it off because it is a huge group of topics and it requires research, and I really wanted to know what I was talking about before I brought that information to you guys. So I wanted to first tackle it myself, get through it alive, which I have, and then come to you guys with the information and stuff that I learned from the experience. So here I am, and we're finally going to be talking Ingram Spark. Now, this is going to be a video series because if I crammed all of the Ingram Spark frequently asked questions into one video, it would kill you guys. I'm gonna keep this first one kind of fun and light so you guys can dip your toes in the water. This is going to be the pros and cons of Ingram Spark. Now, for later videos in the series, I'm going to highly recommend that you guys consume these videos with a side of chocolate and alcohol. I hear that wine pairs very nicely with Ingram Spark, but you can do any alcohol you want. I've personally found that a couple shots of brandy in cherry Dr. Pepper is pretty nice, so that's what I do when I have to do Ingram Spark stuff, but it's your choice, anything goes. This first video, it isn't required that you add the chocolate, but it is still suggested you add the alcohol, and later videos you're gonna want both. Ingram Spark is complicated and oh my god, I'm gonna start with the pros because that's the kind of person I am, so let's do that. Pro number one, if you like big, hard books, Ingram's got you covered. Bam! Hardbacks, hardcovers, however you want to name the books with the hardness. Yeah, I'm getting very technical with my terminology here if you can't tell. Hardcovers. Ingram Spark does hardcovers not only as an option, but also very nicely. They have cloth in blue and also gray. This is the blue one. And they will print your title on the spine or anything you put there. They give you a box and you create your title as to what you want on the spine. I suggest you go with something related to your book, but I mean, you can put whatever text you want here. It's your life. I'm not gonna make a rule in regards to that. Pro number two, your book will be sold in all the places. Now, if you want to go test this, you can go, to your favorite book selling sites and go search for Aletheia. It's not on all of them, but it's in a lot of them, and that is because Ingram Spark has a network of distributors. And what they do is when you list your title and enable it for distribution, they send out the metadata to all of those retailers that they're connected to, and those retailers then list your book. Now, not all of the retailers will list your book, but because of how cost effective and easy it is for them to have their website program to automatically grab that metadata, list your book for sale, and have the book drop ship to customers, pretty much all of their online retailers will grab your book and list it. So you'll get on websites like barnesandnoble.com, Book Depository, IndieBound, Libris, other websites. Now, along these lines, we have pro number three, which is that if you list your ebook through Ingram Spark, you'll get it on e-readers besides Kindle. So you'll get it on the Apple products like Apple iPad, and you'll also get it on Nook. Pro number four. Now, I hesitate to list this one because although it's possible, it is complicated, and that is you can actually get your book in physical brick and mortar bookstores. Now, this isn't black and white. It is possible, but it is complicated because it involves things like enabling returns and wholesale discounts and all sorts of different things like that. So I'll do a video later on how to get your book into brick and mortar bookstores, and it is possible with Ingram. I consider that a pro. Pro number five, it's very easy to send out ARC copies. Oh my god, I always do that, ARC copies. ARC stands for Advanced Reader Copy. So when you put copies at the end of ARC, you're saying copies twice. And I always do that. Oh my god. Okay, if you want to send out ARC books to reviewers, you can either drop ship directly to the address of those people, or you can bulk order a carton of books and then resend them out. Pro number six, pre-orders. With Ingram Spark, you can do pre-orders, both of ebook and also hardcover and paperback. You should know that most websites consider pre-orders as sales made in the first week. So that means that if you gather a lot of pre-orders over months leading up to your book's release, those count as sales in the first week, and that jumps your sales numbers up, which can throw you into lists of bestsellers. Now, don't expect to get on New York Times bestseller list this way because they don't really count online sales, and it'd be impossible really to hit those numbers as an indie author on your first book. But this can help a lot in terms of Amazon, and the bigger the platform you have, the more pre-orders you get, the more that's going to impact those first week of sales and help skyrocket your book and get it more recognition and promotion. Next pro is higher quality. Now, when I say higher quality, I'm comparing to the only other print-on-demand site that I actually own books from that I know of, which is CreateSpace. But comparing CreateSpace quality to Ingram Spark quality, there is a pretty clear difference that goes towards Ingram. The next pro is worldwide shipping. Now, some parts of this are just automatic. For example, because your book is going out to all of these distributors, some of these distributors are international, and so people will be able to find your book in other countries. But Ingram Spark itself has printing presses in a couple different countries, making it easier to distribute internationally. Alright, so those are kind of the simple pros. And now let's get into the cons. Con number one, their user interface and their dashboards and their whole website setup is incredibly unintuitive. Just keep in mind there's a learning curve. I've gotten over that learning curve now, so it is possible to get over that learning curve, but just keep in mind that it is a little higher of a curve than normal. Con number two, there is less support availability than Amazon, but the times that I have had to contact support, they've been as helpful as Amazon. This doesn't mean they've always been as helpful as I'd like, but that flaw is both here and in CreateSpace. Next con, this is one that is gonna matter more to some people than others, and that is that setting up your titles isn't free with Ingram Spark. You create a title, you pay $49 up front. Keep in mind that if you order 50 books within the first 60 days after you list your title, they do refund that $50, so that's nice, but anytime you want to update a file, you get charged $25 per file change. And this is justified. This isn't just them grabbing money. This is because every time you upload a file, they have to go process that file, make sure it matches their guidelines. And I think there's actually physical people that do a quick look over to make sure there's nothing wrong with it. Now, as a little side add-on to this, the ebook is free. If you add on your ebook to either your paperback or your hardcover titles, you don't pay extra for that. But if you do your ebook alone, you would still pay that $49. But there's no real reason to do your ebook alone as its own title when you can add it on to either the paperback or hardcover. The next con is another one that will affect some people more than others, and that is that you need to come with your own ISBNs. They do not provide any for free, and this is to some people a pro because if you buy your own ISBNs, then you're listed as the publisher and you don't have the thing that happens with CreateSpace where technically Amazon is your publisher on CreateSpace books if you get your ISBN free through them. So I view this kind of as a pro, but you do have to go out and find a place to purchase your ISBNs and bring them over yourself. The next con is higher printing costs. And again, you're paying for quality. I do feel the quality is higher in Ingram Spark books than CreateSpace books, but there is a difference in printing cost between the two. Next con is terrible sales data. The sales data that you get is very limited. For example, if you look at sales of your book, it's not going to tell you what distributor exactly purchased your book and where the sale came from in terms of locality. It's just the data is basically a mixed up chart with rows and you don't get a lot out of it. The next con is one that you can avoid by listing your book really early, but it does take some distributors and the Ingram Spark network up to 2 months to list your title. So this doesn't apply to the big two. Amazon picked up Aletheia within 24 hours and Barnes & Noble picked up Aletheia within, I believe, 48. But there are some other websites that did take up to the 2 months to start listing Aletheia, and some websites, like Book Depository, still don't have a cover image up for Aletheia. I don't know why. So keep in mind that if you list your book and immediately set it up for sale, then it's not going to immediately be on all of the different websites. It's going to take a little while. Next con is one that there is not a good solution to, and it's really dependent. Some people have this problem, some don't. And that is that Amazon will sometimes list your book as out of stock. Now, the reason for this is if your book's selling well, Amazon will often buy a carton of them, which is a kind of a bulk order of 14 for each carton, and they'll stock that. But then if that runs out, they go out of stock, and then Amazon has to place another order for a bulk carton and wait for that to arrive before they list it as in stock again. I so far haven't had this issue because when the stock started to get low, Amazon automatically put in another order for a carton, and then the stock went up again. But if someone, for some reason, I had a week where, for example, right now there's 14 books of Aletheia in stock on Amazon. If someone bought all 14, then my book would be listed as out of stock for about a week until Amazon got an order of more books. So if you guys are watching this, if one of you went out and bought 14 books, my book would go out of stock for about a week. The last con is one that is infrequent, but I did want to mention it, and that is that occasionally when you order bulk orders of your book, you will get an order with cosmetic defects. If you go on to cloudkittenmarket.com right now, you will see that there is signed copies of Aletheia for sale, and there's also a discounted version which is titled Cosmetic Defect. That is because we received an order of books where the printing press was slightly unaligned, and it didn't affect the internals of the book, but there's a small white line on the bottom of the cover, and the cover is not completely aligned. But Ingram Spark did handle it amazingly. We contacted them, they asked for us to provide pictures, we did, and from there they resent us an order completely covered and paid for, and they were very quick to respond to that issue. They do quality check every single one of the print-on-demand books, but in bulk orders, they only quality check a couple of them, so issues like this do sometimes get through. Alright, so that's it for the pros and cons. Give this video a like, a share, subscribe button is right down there if you haven't clicked it already. I will see you guys in the next video.